Let's do another static rhythm. We'll do the 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, okay? And I'm going to, again, take that first note, the quarter note, move it around with my right hand, all right? So this is our rhythm, static rhythm. So my orchestration now is, and I can put that orchestration anywhere. But for this example, we're just going to move down the toms. Starting on the snare, 1, 2, 3, 4. So with the groove, it would sound like this. So once again, another static rhythm when we're orchestrating it in a little bit of different way, where the right hand, because that's the first, we're doing right hand lead. It's the first note playing the rhythm, so it's playing on beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's the hand. You can move around, orchestrate it however you would like. Exercise 3C, we're going to use dynamic rhythms or mixed rhythms. So we're mixing different rhythmic patterns. We're going to use the same pattern that we used in exercise 2D, which was, all right, but we're going to voice it around the drums, actually a little bit different here. So I have it notated out, exercise 3C. We're going to kind of start on the snare, move to the rack tom, go back to the snare, and then kind of move around the drums for those last 4 16th notes, okay? So again, here's the rhythm that we're starting with. Here's the fill orchestration that you're going to see in exercise 3C. So let me put that in a groove context. This is exercise 3C. And that's the last exercise for today. The examples are, again, I want to keep them fairly simple so you can understand some very basic concepts for these basic fill patterns. First of all, you choose a pattern, choose a rhythm. And again, it's going to depend on the subdivision that you're wanting to use. Are you using triplets? Are you using 16 notes? In this case, our subdivision foundation was 16 notes. So really, I just pulled ideas from the timing grid, which we've been using in previous lessons. And you can pick one rhythm that you're going to play for the entire measure, the entire fill measure. Okay, for example, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, or 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. You can play it all on the snare drum, or you can orchestrate it around the drums. An easy way to get started is to start on the snare, just move right down the toms. But you don't have to stick with that orchestration. You can just do the snare and the first tom. You can just do the toms. You can do the snare and the floor tom. You can start on the toms, move your way back up. You can even play where your right hand is the only hand that moves. Move on the quarter note or move on offbeat eighth notes. Instead of this, you could do the left hand could be the hand that moves. So let's work with just the snare drum and the first rack tom. A lot of different ways to orchestrate the fill around the drums. So it's really completely up to you. We have static rhythms once again, and then of course we have dynamic or mixed rhythms. So we're changing the or potentially changing the rhythm every single beat. Okay, so you can again pick several rhythms from the timing grid, place them where you want, and now that becomes your kind of fill template. You can play it all on the snare, you can orchestrate it around the drums however you want, just like we did with this rhythm. That pattern, the rhythmic pattern there, is the same in each one of those examples, but the orchestration is what makes it sound different. So those are the elements I want you to pay attention to in this lesson. Fairly simple lesson, but the concept can be used no matter how simple or complex the fill is. You know, even with complex fills, I can change the orchestration however I want. You know, I could even change the rhythmic rate. I can use a static rhythm for a fill and do a really fast, you know, maybe 30-second note fill run, or I can use different rhythmic rates, 16 notes, triplets, 30 seconds. I can mix everything up however I want. I can orchestrate it however I want. So you have a lot of flexibility when it comes to fill creation, when it comes to thinking about how you want to orchestrate and voice your fills and what rhythms you want to choose for your fills. And this goes right along with what we talked about last week with the phrasing. And that really, the phrasing is what dictates when you choose to do a fill. What we talked about today is what you're going to do when you do a fill, what you will play, you know, in very basic terms. But it kind of, you know, explains what I think about when I'm doing a fill. How can I voice this? What rhythms am I using? And again, that all has to fit within the phrasing. You know, it has to fit within the fill measure, which is the fourth bar. And you may not even have a full measure to deal with. Maybe you're only filling for half of the fill measure, right?